everybody, welcome to Raising Vibrations. This is Simon, and today we're going to be discussing Mercury direct, and also just me sharing with you some of my personal thoughts on how I've actually experienced this Mercury retrograde period of time. So I'm really actually excited, to be honest, to be sharing with you what I've gone through. On one degree, there's been quite a huge significant shift energetically for me. I have been dealing with intense karmic patterns within my soul's evolution. I've had some really, really deep insights that have come through from this whole Mercury retrograde experience. And yeah, so there's something new for me. I don't know if you can maybe see it already or sense it within my energy field, but I feel a lot lighter. I've done some incredible inner journeying work on myself, and there's an even deeper sense of connection to source, and I'm handling these energies at this stage in a very positive way, and I'm really excited about that. But before I go into that story, I know for anybody that's just wanting to watch the Mercury retrograde and thoughts on this, Mercury is going stationary. It's probably stationary at this point in time. It's situated at 14 degrees Capricorn, which is conjunct Pluto at 15 degrees. There is a video that I recently did called Pluto through Capricorn, and that is, you just go check out the playlist over there, or actually I'll put it in the description below. There's actually quite a long video describing Capricorn and Pluto through Capricorn. But in a short way, I would say that the Mercury conjunct Pluto has been a very significant thing for us, because a lot of what we are trying to understand about ourselves as a collective race and individually is why we came here. Like, why did we incarnate? What is this sort of agenda or plan as to why we found ourselves in this experience? And of course, there's the diversity of perspectives and thought patterns regarding this. If you've following me on YouTube, you would understand which one, or see which one I subscribe to within my own self. And so I feel like a lot of this Mercury retrograde period, and especially this conjunct Pluto as it's about to go direct again, has got to do with our conditioning and the nature of how we perceive reality in relationship to what we think and expect and are supposed to behave in alignment with. And I feel that as I've observed my own sort of like social conditioning and past life conditioning within myself, that we do a lot of things out of habit, where a lot of that habit in itself has absolutely no value to us. Okay. In fact, a lot of our behavior patterns give us very little return on our energy and more of a sense of direction to initiate, facilitate, or aid a entity or of some sort, or a large corporation, and we don't really pay attention to ourselves and to our own personal self-mastery. So for me, I feel that if you're paying attention to this video and you're finding it resonating with you, there's got a lot to do with what I perceive the Mercury retrograde to be as it's hitting Pluto at this stage, to really get into that soul connection of why you're here and understand the deeper reasonings behind your habits and your patterns, and why you behave the way that you do, and really in some way, shape, or form analyze them. A simple example that I could give regarding tapping into this energy would be just to take one habit in your day and ask yourself if you feel that that's something that actually returns any investment onto yourself. Like, does it actually give you something that helps you along your road to facilitating your goals, or your direction, to helping you become a more self-empowered being, and so on and so forth. And I feel like if you can observe something in your energy field, kind of analyze it a little bit and say, you know what, that routine, that relationship I'm doing and having to myself regarding that is not really doing this for me. How can I decondition myself? The sun is actually in Aquarius at this stage. So not only does Pluto allow us to really, in some way, shape, or form, break away deep internal conditioning within ourselves and allow us to really get underneath the skin of something that is deeply attached to what we think reality is, the sun is helping us with that extra phase or that extra cycle of saying, hey, this is an opportunity to liberate yourself from a perceived identity, from a perceived perception of what you think is true about yourself, and so on. And you know, this is a healthy thing. I think it's really important to be able to do that, because for me personally, as I understand the nature of life in itself, there is this huge need to anchor your emotions into the physical body, and to allow yourself to be able to walk in a grounded way, and really allow yourself to grow from that point of view. So it's almost like evolving through the emotional body. And if you observe your inner relationship that you have to yourself and then to the outside world, and you observe and correlate that environmental relationship that you have, and then look at the patterns in which you are, defining yourself through, notice, as I said again, through environmental feedback and through doing that process, what is facilitating, what is helping you in that process, and then actually like let it go, like say, hey, I'm done with this process. I'm not seeing this give me anything in return. I'm not allowing myself to be more empowered in this experience. So a very deep deconditioning Mercury retrograde. I've also noticed quite a lot that there's quite a lot of emotions that are coming up to the surface again. Capricorn deals a lot with the nature of emotions, even if it's emotions that are coming to the surface where they've been repressed at this stage. We've all gone through patriarchy in our past lives, and evolving up until this point in time, a lot of the collective distortions that we have on the planet today, we have assimilated within ourselves. So we're probably going to have, at least at some point, very sensitive, or be very sensitive to our to our responses to people, and there could be conflicts. You could find yourself being in conflict with somebody, or finding yourself being really connected to a situation that's very platonic, where there's power play and taking place. So observe that as well, and ground yourself in this experience. Recognize that this is an opportunity to look around you and to say to you, what is facilitating your evolutionary growth? How is your current psychological patterns really allowing you to find flow in your life? Okay. And to like I said, just analyze that, check that mental process, and liberate yourself from that experience. Okay, cool. So Mercury retrograde over. Let me share with you some of my own personal experiences regarding that. So at the moment, I have a solar return experience going on. For any of you that doesn't know what a solar return chart is, I highly recommend actually looking into that. I myself do solar return chart readings for people. It's what happens is that every single year, of course, your birthday comes around, and we take the chart and we plot the chart's coordinates in relationship to that date of birth. Okay, and it's for that 1 year, and we look at Pluto and the south nodes, etc. And for me, I actually have the placement of Pluto in my fourth house. Okay, and then you also look at the relocation of the chart. So I was born in South Africa, I'm living in Sweden, so I would look at both charts and superimpose them. And I have a fourth house Pluto transit with my solar return, and of course then a third house Pluto transit as well. And I'm noticing how deeply connected I am to my sort of emotional center, but also at the same time the ancestral karma that I carry, and really, like, I have to go into myself and really understand what is actually occurring for me. And of course, the third house transit is really allowing me to redefine myself through the way that I communicate and such. And over the last, this new moon that took place in Capricorn, and then the full moon in Leo, was a huge energetic shift for me, especially with these solar return transits, as they brought up a lot of stuff. I've been trying to work a lot with the YouTube and the stage, and find myself, having large flashes of insight about what the direction is and how to do this. And yet simultaneously, I found myself noticing that a lot of my self-identity that I would be projecting and sharing is coming from a place of non-authenticity. it's subtle, but it's the truth. And the only reason why that's the case is because of my own feeling of unsurety about the direction, so that mistrust. So by observing this process and really digging deep into this experience, I noticed that there were elements of my identity that was too mental versus more emotional and in the heart. So what has transpired for me after this Mercury retrograde experience, and as I've analyzed this stuff and gone back over a lot of experiences that have shaped me prior to the Mercury retrograde, I've come to understand that it's, for me, authenticity, especially when doing the YouTube and of course working with you out there in the world as a support mechanism, and obviously a support mechanism to myself, is to know that I don't really need to actually be highly creative with how I need to direct my channel, how I need to direct what insights I share, etc., etc., or be in control of it in some way. I just need to kind of trust that whatever I'm energetically feeling at that point in time needs to be what I express, which I do anyway, but there's been this kind of feeling of like doubt creep in slightly, where I've felt centered, but I've not felt centered. Um, so so that's been really, really empowering for me, in the sense that I've been able to connect more with the emotions in myself and really, anchor my own sense of what I believe to be or feel to be essential to talk about, and to also change the spectrum diagram, whatever you want to call it, in terms of how I perceive my YouTube channel. And I'm done with seeing it as something where I want it to be commercial. I can't do it. I've tried it. I've tried to put it in a way where it's like every single week there's this type of video, etc., etc. I'm not that person. In fact, I'm completely random in my thought patterns, and whatever comes out during that day is what the message is. So for any of you that's watching this, I've got the Cosmic Creator series at this point in time that I'm absolutely loving at this stage, and it is in fact the next part of what it is that I want to talk about, which was that a lot of the astrology that I've been working with at this stage has been about sharing and teaching it, but there's a new element to myself that has developed within me regarding allowing us to understand what it means to evolve through the emotional body, what it means to understand the experience as a human being, and use astrology more as a tool to understand the depth of humanity and consciousness versus using it as a tool to predict what's going to happen going forward, if that makes any sense. And I suppose that's where I'm kind of like needing to gel my identity, and I've been struggling with it a lot in terms of how I need to put this across. So I've come to a point, Pluto conjunct Mercury, and said, enough, this is how I'm going to do it. And hopefully the followers that are interested in working and being a part of this channel in itself will be getting what it is that I have to share, not from an astrological perspective where this is the answers to things, but more along the lines of like, hey, what does Pluto and Mercury actually mean and symbolize for us? As an example, how do you take that energy and anchor it into yourself, and then in some way, shape, or form, allow that to be like actually they had the experience of what that means, and to directly experience it so that you can then learn to understand how to navigate energy in that way. So trying to make it this more clearer in this way. I don't know if I am coming across clearer, but and that's another thing as well. It's just like, I wonder how clear I can actually be. I try as much as possible. Sometimes I just ramble forever in a day going, I don't think anybody understood anything I said, maybe because there were too many distractions. God bless the moon in Gemini for me. But again, coming back to this main point, the tree trunk of my conversation, new self-identity is being born at this stage. I feel new, I feel energetically rejuvenated, and things like the Cosmic Creator series, things like the relationship series that I've started, there's been many different types of energies that have come into my way that have said, this is what I'm going to feel and talk about and inspired about, but those are coming back into my thing. So I will be completing those series in that sense. The Cosmic Creator series, the third one that's coming out really shortly, is the dance. That is how we integrate masculine and feminine energy together. And to be quite honest, like, I wanted to do it every single week, but then I noticed that as I started to research, investigate, and tune into the energy, I realized there was so much to talk about. So the whole thing about twin flames in itself coming together in this video, I think is going to be highly informative, because I feel that this is going to finally give us the opportunity to really get from what I consider to be a very grounded and healthy perspective of what a twin flame relationship is about, or at least understanding its energy capacity totally. So yeah. New things that I wanted to share, everyone, I do a lot of work in terms of, this is my occupation, and I run a lot of workshops and like schools and so on and so forth. So if you're actually interested in working with me, with a group of people regarding, if you want to join what is coming up recently, what's coming up for me right now, which is Learn Your Astrology Chart. And this is really exciting for me. I'm truly inspired to be working in this way where everybody says, okay, I'm interested in understanding my chart and then also integrating that energy into my life. Like, I would actually want to use astrology to shift the energy in me and change my life, versus just kind of fulfill this deep anxiety about what the next steps are and then kind of using it as a prediction tool in that way. So there's this new concept, new idea that's coming out, that I'm going to be holding space for. That's going to be truly exciting. Is Learn Your Own Chart, and I'll take like 5 people in a group, and we just basically put your chart out there, and every single week for an hour and a half or so, we just look through the charts. And we look at this energy, and I'll say, hey, this is the energy that's coming through at this stage. How do you feel about this energy? Some other people can help you along that way. And we kind of create this new way of relating to ourselves, where we as a community are helping each other heal ourselves. This Jupiter in Virgo, this North Node and South Node in Virgo. I think healing is a very important capacity and necessity for us on at the moment. And then there's astrological transits. How to understand transits in themselves. So that workshop's going on as well. And there's the astrology schools, and what else is there? Things like membership programs. A lot of what I'm trying to do here is create a balanced relationship between doing a lot of the work that is in some way, shape, or form bridging the gap between the souls that want to learn about astrology and integrate more higher dimensional spirituality into their lives, to the ones that are actually wanting to dedicate an entire part of your life to clearing that energy out. So I'm trying to create a healthy balance over here. So from my point of view, for me, the direction I'm going to is really exciting, because I get to be able to actually work with energy, clear it in myself, clear it in other people, based on my just recent direct experience of doing some deep ancestral cleaning work. And, I'm always doing it. We're always doing it in this sense. It's not like it's going to go away. But this really propelled me into a direction that was really inspiring. So yeah, check that out. On my description, or on the description, should I say, is the website. You can check that out and have a look. Otherwise, just send me an email. Just say, hey man, how you going? This is my astrology chart. These are my experiences. If something's inspiring to you, or share me some of your thoughts you want to do as well. I'm really looking, to hear other people's ideas of what you want me to talk about in that sense. This is a great opportunity to understand this channel as something that we get to learn together. And I suppose that's what I'm really trying to say here. This balance between learning in a way where everybody gets to share their ideas, and then on a more private and personal level as well. That's it, guys. Thanks so much for allowing me to share my thoughts with you. Have a fantastic day. Take care. Bye-bye.